guys, how are you? This is Loise. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're well and safe wherever you are. Today I want to talk to you about refugee claims here in Canada, and I actually just want to dispel the myths of refugee claims. Okay, why do I want to do this? First, I am a regulated Canadian immigration consultant and I'm based in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And in my line of duty, one of my areas of specialization is refugee claims here. And I come across a lot of lies, a lot of fears, a lot of myths surrounding the refugee class. And there are people who actually want to seek asylum, but they don't even know what is true from what they've heard from their friends, what they read out there, and a few things that we are going to discuss here today. So that is why I'm here to dispel the myths. Okay, number one is that you can claim asylum when you're outside Canada. That is the greatest lie ever, and it's a lie because the in Canada refugee claims means that you have to be in Canada to claim asylum. Okay, there are other classes of refugee claims that we've talked about previously, you know, like when you go through the United Nations resettlement, but we're not, or even the group of 5. That's not what I'm talking about, because that is refugee sponsorship. I'm talking about in Canada refugee claims. So you have to be in Canada. You cannot claim it in your country. You can't go to the Canadian embassy and claim asylum. There are people who send me emails and they say, Loise, can I just go to the embassy and do that? Okay, so you cannot. You have to be in Canada, and you can do it either at the port of entry, so whether you're coming through the land border or the airport, or like I've maybe mentioned, you can also enter Canada and claim asylum from an immigration office. Okay, you don't necessarily have to do it at the border. At times, you know, you want to get into Canada and settle. You know, refugee claimants, they're coming from hardships, most of them. And when I say hardships, they're not necessarily economic hardships, but mental hardships. And you feel that maybe you want to sit down, you want to recollect your thoughts, you want to feel safe from whatever you're running away from before you can take yourself to go claim asylum. Okay? Myth number 2 is that you must be from a war-torn country for you to claim asylum in Canada. That's a lie too. You know, it doesn't matter. People claim here in Canada, you will not believe it. People claim asylum from different countries, from a lot of countries that are not necessarily going through war, because war is not the only reason as to why people would claim asylum. We've talked about the various reasons as to why someone would claim asylum. You know, maybe you're being persecuted because of your religion, belonging to a particular group, belonging to, you know, having a particular political opinion, you know, sexuality, stuff like that. Or you could be in danger of, you know, torture or risk for one reason or another. Okay? So it doesn't, you don't have to be coming from a war-torn country. Okay? The other myth is that you can only claim asylum if you're coming from a developing country. Oh my goodness, I see people who think that only Africans claim asylum. And this goes back to what I just said there. People claim asylum from Europe. When I mean Europe, I mean countries like UK, Europe, even US, Caribbean, India, you know, Asia, Africa, all over. So anyone can claim asylum as long as they fit the criteria. It doesn't matter your socio-economic status. Those things are not relevant. Is your life in danger, and can your country not protect you? Okay? Then the other myth that I have seen with a lot of people, they say that only women seek asylum, and that has seen a lot of men who are shying away from seeking asylum. So men, as long as you have a legitimate claim, and as I said, your case qualifies for asylum, even men claim asylum. Okay? So the other one that I have seen, and it's such a shame, because there are people who go online and I see them in the comment section at times, and they're like, yo, you know what, someone must stay in a shelter when you're claiming asylum. Like when you come to Canada, you must live in a shelter. I want you to get me clear, because I don't want to be misunderstood, and I also want to be conscious, because I know people who go to shelters, they go to shelters because they need them. Okay, and there are many people in Canada who actually need shelters here. Maybe, you know, people suffering from domestic violence, homelessness, you know, drug addictions, and other, you know. So there are people who are really suffering here in Canada, and they need the shelters. So if you need it, you just landed and you need to stay at the shelter, maybe because you cannot afford, you don't have a place to stay, you can't afford to stay in a hotel, by all means, go to the shelter. But don't go to the shelter. The reason I'm saying this is because I've also had someone say, oh, you know what? Someone said that I have to be at the shelter so that the government sees that I'm in need. The Canadian government doesn't have to see that you're in need. They just need to see that you have a legitimate claim. Otherwise, you can go, you can stay in the shelter, and your case will be rejected if you don't have a good claim. Okay? So it's not about staying in the shelter, but if you need the shelter, by all means, use the shelter. That's why we have the shelters. Now, this is very sad, and I've heard this from people in our communities. There's a lot of fear when you come to claim asylum here, and there's someone who you know who is already in Canada. Either they are a permanent resident or they are a Canadian citizen. Even a student, you know, they could even be a student. But there's this myth that people believe that if you say you know somebody here, or someone is helping you, like someone is giving you shelter, like they're hosting you, that you're going to mess up with their immigration status. There's nothing like that, okay? It's sad because I know someone who told me that they had a sister here, and the sister is so scared to host them, and this lady was coming from a very bad situation back home, and her life was seriously in danger, like legit in danger. But the sister here, who is a citizen, was like, oh, you know what, I don't want to mess up, you know, they're going to mess up my immigration status, I cannot host them, please. Now I'm talking to my fellow Canadians who are here. If you find someone who you can host, because, you know, not everybody has the means to stay in an Airbnb or a hotel, or just rent a place for themselves, please, if you can host them, please host them. It's not going to affect anything about your immigration status, or with Service Canada, or with taxes. You can host somebody, okay? And they can give out your address. It's okay for them to give out their address and say, I'm living with so and so, they've given me, you know, a room in their house, maybe they have an extra room, or they just, you know, they just gave you the couch, okay? All right. The other myth that I have heard is that if you claim asylum, you're going to be harassed and arrested, and that is by the Canadian authorities, and that's also a big lie. And I say that because Canada is one of the most democratic countries, and the police here, they're very approachable, like extremely approachable. So they're not going to arrest you, they're not going to shame you. If you want to do it at the port of entry, you just walk to an immigration officer there and say, hey, you know, I came here to seek asylum. And they're just going to give you forms, you know, feel like why. They're going to ask you why, and you fill some forms, and they let you go. The only time that you would be detained, there are instances as to when you'll be detained. Maybe there are some criminality issues or inadmissibility issues, and you know, and maybe they can't also verify your identity. So there's some issues that may cause you to be detained. But on a regular basis, you know, just going to the office and saying, hey guys, I would like to seek asylum because of ABCD. People are going to be friendly. And when I say people, it's immigration officers. You don't go telling everybody, even your friends, you don't go telling people, hey, you know, I want to claim asylum. No, you talk to the relevant authorities, okay? Because now that goes to the other myth, still on that myth of being harassed. I know I have seen people say that people have sent me messages and said, hey, why do Nigerians claim asylum, or why would a Kenyan claim asylum, or why would someone from Europe claim asylum? And I'm like, you know, they know why they are claiming asylum. Okay? You don't have to know why they are claiming asylum. That is their, you know, that's totally their business. And it goes back to, you know, even you as an asylee, as a claimant, don't go, you know, don't go discussing your issues and matters and advertising to everybody. Not everybody wants the best for you. Okay, so we have to learn to keep some things to ourselves. We have to be very careful who we're talking to, because people only make your life their business because you've already made your life their business. People can only attack you with what you give them. Okay, so learn as an asylee, learn to be private as much as possible. I'm not saying you keep to yourself, but you know, you just don't go broadcasting to everybody, and then that way you won't have people who are trying to be nosy and saying, oh, you know, she looks like she is well up, oh, they look like this, why are they claiming asylum? It's none of their business. Okay. Okay, yes, so you don't have to be shamed by anybody, but you also have to protect yourself. So be smart and protect yourself. The other, now these are major things that I'm going to talk about here. If you claim asylum, there's this myth that you can actually go back to your country. And I saw someone, maybe not even one person, a few people challenge me in a video that I did, that after you claim asylum and it's accepted here, you become a protected person and then you apply for PR. Before you become a citizen, please don't go back to your country. Simple as that. Do not attempt to go back to your country, because that is called reavailment. Okay, you're reavailing yourself to the country that you sought asylum from, or even get a passport. Do not acquire a passport of your country until you become a Canadian citizen. Okay, otherwise the CBSA officers, they may not catch you, but they've been actively looking for such cases, because they're like, so you came here and you say that your life was in danger in your country because of ABCD, and all of a sudden, the moment you're accepted, you want to go visit or you want to go on vacation? No, then it means that you lied. Okay, it means that you lied. So the same thing with using your passport. So make sure that you get a travel document, my friend. A travel document allows you to travel to any country except your country of origin. Okay? Yes. So you cannot travel back to your country. After you become a Canadian citizen, you're free to do whatever you want. But until then, please protect your status. Protect yourself. Otherwise, it's very easy. And I've seen people lose protection in this country. Okay? The other myth is that you cannot abandon your refugee claim once you've made it. People abandon their claims all the time. Yes, you know, you come here and you claim asylum. Why are you claiming? At times, maybe it's because of a political reason, or someone was after you, but you know what? Circumstances do change. Okay? So if you're here, you know, you've run away from your home, you've run away from your comfort and everything, but things may change when you're here, and whoever was after you, maybe they died, or it was a regime, it's no longer in power. What do? You can always go back to your country, because your life is not going to be in danger anymore. And at that point, you can abandon your claim. So you can abandon your claim anytime you want. Just make sure that you're making the right decision when you do that. Now, this is important, please pay attention. There's this myth that you can actually apply for other immigration programs when you're here as a refugee claimant. I think I just have my cat's hair all over my eyes, sorry. So that you can apply for other immigration programs when you're here in Canada. No, you cannot. As long as the moment you put in that refugee claim, you become a claimant, a refugee claimant. Okay? When you're a refugee claimant here in Canada, they say that in Canada, refugee claimants do not have a temporary residence status. By the virtue of claiming, you didn't get residence status, which is required to apply to these immigration programs. And these immigration programs, I mean, whether it's a provincial nomination, whether it's a pilot program, the express entry, whatever. So you do not have that status that allows you, actually you get disqualified from applying to those programs, okay? So what you can do, if you want to apply to those programs, you can always leave. You can leave Canada. Like, you know, you're sure that you will qualify, and maybe you can go somewhere else, or you know your threat is no longer existing. You can always leave Canada. If you qualify, you can apply to those programs. But as long as you're here in that asylee status, then you cannot apply to those programs. Of course, then you know that as soon as your hearing is done, like and you have the determination of the member, and they say that, you know, your claim was approved, then automatically you can apply for PR. If not, then you have to go through the process of appeal, and there's possible deportation. So as a claimant, you can't apply for other immigration programs. Then there's a myth that when you're an asylee, you cannot study or go to school or work. You can actually work and you can study, okay? But you don't do that immediately. Of course, there's a process of claiming. So you have to, you know, your claim has to be accepted, and then you do the medicals, and of course you apply for work permit or even study permit. So you are allowed to apply. So as a claimant, you're eligible for an S61 open work permit or study permit, which would give you the option to work or study while you're waiting for your decision to be made on your claim. Therefore, you are eligible to work and study in Canada during the processing of your refugee claim. But that's all. Of course, as I said, after it's determined, you become a permanent resident in a positive situation. You apply for permanent residence. So in that case, you won't need a work permit or a study permit. Okay? So, yeah, so I just wanted to let you know that you have to be careful. Know your rights as an asylee. Know your rights, especially as much as you're a foreign national, you still have rights in this country, because here people, they're treated with dignity. Okay, so don't fear. Go ahead and claim asylum if you need help. If you don't know whether your case is legitimate or it would qualify, you can always talk to me. You can book a consultation, a refugee consultation on my website, and we can sit down. You can tell me details about your claim. I would love to listen to that, and I will tell you whether that would qualify or it will not qualify. And if it qualifies, I can also tell you what you need to support that claim. Okay, guys, if you also want immigration services, if you want to hire me to represent you, I would also gladly do that. Okay, so guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.